Hello and welcome back to Israel with Aline. Today we are in Jerusalem and we are going to explore together the Valley of Hell, also known as Geena. This place that has seen some of the most terrible passages of the Bible. And we are going to understand what is the connection of this place with the Temple of Jerusalem and Judas Iscariot. So if you are ready, let's get started. In the background, we see the beautiful walls of the old city of Jerusalem, and we are now on the southwest side, where is the valley known in Hebrew as Gai Ben-Hinnom, in Greek as Geena, and in Portuguese as Valley of the Son of Hinnom, or as Hell's Valley. Inside it is the Tophet and also the fields of blood. And now I want to invite you to descend with me and literally walk through Hell's Valley and get to know some of the most terrible passages in the history of Jerusalem up close. Let's go! One of the most fascinating things about this valley is that it is empty. Jerusalem was built, destroyed, rebuilt so many times, and suddenly we arrive at a place so big and so empty. There is no other place like this in Jerusalem. Well, besides that, this is the place that is geographically the lowest in Jerusalem, and not only geographically, also morally and spiritually, this here is a place of depths. But what is so terrible about hell to this day? What has been happening here from hell until today? Today, sacrifices were made here, specifically human sacrifices, more specifically child sacrifices. Sacrifice, and yes, human sacrifices, more specifically child sacrifices. For a statue of Moloch, now that I'm a mother, for a statue of Moloch, now that I'm a mother and a mother bringing their own child. Imagine a father and a mother bringing their own child. Imagine the situation. Children were brought here and they were burned alive, and their screams echoed throughout this valley. And to disguise these screams and this suffering, the priests of Moloch played drums here. So, if we had arrived here a little over 3,000 years ago, what we would see here is a horror show, a valley with drums and children's screams. But who were capable of building such a large city? This was a pagan tradition. A tradition of the non was literally human sacrifices, but we found in non was literally human sacrifices. But we found in archaeological excavations, not here in Israel, but in Carthage, a place with bones of children who were sacrificed along with animal bones, which were sacrificed to a god named Baal and also to Tanit. We also know Baal from various stories in the Bible, but unfortunately this pagan practice also infiltrated part of the people of Israel. Yes, people from the people of Israel here in the kingdom of Judah came and participated in sacrifices both for Moloch and for Baal. In fact, kings of Judah participated in these practices like King Manasseh and King Ahaz. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and he did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord, like David, his father. Instead, he followed the ways of the kings of Israel, and moreover, he made molten images for the Baals. He also burned incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burned his sons in the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom the Lord had driven out before the children of Israel. But there were also kings who fought against these practices, like King Josiah. And we know this also from the passages of Jeremiah, who comes here in this place. Here he brings a pot and breaks it and talks about the punishment the people will suffer for making sacrifices to foreign gods. Hear the word of the Lord, O kings of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever hears, his ears shall tingle, because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. Neither they nor their fathers nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents. For they have built the high places of Baal to burn their sons in the fire for burnt offerings to Baal, which I did not command, nor did I speak, nor did it come into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when this place shall no more be called Topheth, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. And indeed, what is going to happen as punishment for these terrible acts is that Jerusalem will be destroyed in the year 586 BC. That is almost 2,600 years ago. Jerusalem will be destroyed by the Babylonians, by Nebuchadnezzar, and these same people will be sent into exile in Babylon. And now that we know that child sacrifices were a relatively common practice among the Canaanite peoples, we can look with different eyes at the story of Abraham going to sacrifice his son Isaac, when God orders Abraham to take his beloved son Isaac and sacrifice him on Mount Moriah. Look at the context of the time. It's not an uncommon thing. Very close to Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, is the valley of Gehenna, where sacrifices were made. So it's a relatively common practice for the time. But when Abraham is ready to sacrifice his son, God orders that the sacrifice not be made. So at the same time, he is testing Abraham's faith, as he is sending a message to Abraham and to all the people here in the region that God does not want human sacrifices, let alone children. Gehenna is also the place where for centuries the garbage of Jerusalem was burned. So the valley is associated with eternal fire because of the garbage that constantly burned here, and also because of the burnt sacrifices here. And also Jesus talks about this valley, and he uses it as a synonym for hell and eternal fire. For example, in the Sermon on the Mount, as it is written in Mark 9:43. And if your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than with two hands to go into Gehenna, into the fire that never goes out. And now we see on the screen a list of all the passages where Jesus speaks of Gehenna. And it's interesting that in the Portuguese Bible, it often appears translated as hell. What is the connection of Judas Iscariot with the valley of hell? We remember that Judas will receive 30 pieces of silver as payment for betraying Jesus. But he regrets it and wants to return this money. But now this is blood money, and it cannot be returned to the treasury. And that's why they take this money and buy a piece of land. Which land? This one where we are walking right now. Now it will be used for tombs and tombs of foreigners. And since it was bought with blood money, it is known to this day as the Field of Blood, and it is located in the southern part of Genesis. And here at the site of Hekeldama, the Field of Blood, this monastery was built, which is a Greek Orthodox monastery. Local tradition also says that Judas knew about the purchase of this land with the 30 pieces of silver and came here to end his own life. And here in the archaeological excavations of the Field of Blood, more than 80 tombs were found. One of them is believed to be the tomb of Annas, who was the high priest of the Jerusalem temple, and he was Caiaphas's father-in-law. Now, we also know Annas from some passages in the New Testament, among them after Jesus is arrested and taken to Annas. Annas then hands Jesus over to Caiaphas, and finally Caiaphas to Pontius Pilate, who will judge and condemn Jesus to death by crucifixion. We see terrible event after terrible event happening in this place, and what catches my attention the most is that all of this was happening in Jerusalem. We can say that it is perhaps the greatest contrast in the world, the valley of hell with the fields of blood, with child sacrifices so close to the temple of Jerusalem, to Mount Moriah, the dwelling of God. And I find it interesting that everything happens in such a small space, from the best to the worst that humanity has to offer. The beauty of this place contrasts with the terrible stories that happened here, where the Canaanites sacrificed to Molech, Baal, and other gods. Where also a part of the people of Israel betrayed God and joined these pagan cults. Where the lands were bought with blood money, with the money from the betrayal of Jesus. Where Annas, the most corrupt high priest in the history of the temple, was buried, and where Judas probably ended his own life. But at the same time, here in Jerusalem is the temple and the house of God. And it's important for us to see this contrast and remember that we are responsible for our own actions and remember God's justice. And I think there's a small comfort in seeing this valley so peaceful and so quiet these days. Sacrifices are no longer made here in Jerusalem, let alone human sacrifices. So let's enjoy the beauty of the valley, but also remember the stories that happened here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because there are videos every Wednesday and Sunday. A kiss from Jerusalem and see you next time.